Hey everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of the Scratch the Track podcast presented by the Dude and Grim Show. I'm the Dude.
And I am Grim. And we are here today to discuss Of the Blue Color of the Sky by OK Go. Color being spelled, by the way, in the UK version.
Yeah, it's always interesting. Whenever I see that, I'm like, wait a minute, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, I guess we're doing that. I mean, kind of like gray. Is it G-R-E-Y or G-R-A-Y? Like what?
Yeah, I know, but there's some words that are distinctive, whether they're spelled in US or British English, color being one of them. And the only thing I can go back to is Dark Side of the Moon with Any Color You Like, because I didn't know about these things as a younger kid, and I'm looking at that and I was like, there isn't a U in that shit.
It's like we're looking down on Wayne's basement, although that's
not Wayne's basement. Isn't that weird?
Well, yeah. Back to the album. Anyways, so hey everyone, we're happy to be here, and we'd be even happier if you guys went ahead and gave us a like, subscribe, and comment below. And if you do that, let us know what tracks you guys would scratch. What are your favorites on the album? Also, like, is this your favorite OK Go album? What do you think of it? because they had a few before this. They've had a few after. For me, for myself, this is my favorite. I think it caught them at a very good, sort of maybe a little more of an experimental transitional period. Wouldn't you say there, Mr. Grimm?
I would. And I don't want to discredit the other stuff that they've done, but to me, it just doesn't hold up to this album.
This album has so much depth.
Yeah, with all due respect intended. I feel like this was, I think Friedman had something to do with that. Producer David Friedman.
Yeah. One of our favorites.
But there was something else too. There was just something else. And I think that this album caught them, in my opinion, at the best they could be, which was funny because if you listen to the extended edition of this album with the second disc where they talk to the band and Dave Friedman, and they talk about the sound of the album, there were a lot of fans that criticized the sound because they felt like it was super compressed and distorted. And I love how Dave Friedman very quickly just disputes that and says, listen, there was no master bus compression. I'm sure a lot of these dickheads didn't even know what the fuck master bus compression is. But basically what it means is that the entire mix was not compressed. Because some people, and I understand why, because we're in this era of what a lot of people call the loudness wars. And I know, dude, you and I have talked about it, where it's like, a lot of people in the world of mastering feel like you got to squish everything down so that there isn't a lot of variation in between sounds in order to make the record as loud as possible. And it seems like a lot of people are doing that. But I think some people mistake the use of loudness and distortion for compression. And if you know what you're talking about, you can hear the difference between compression and distortion. And I feel like I am someone who knows that difference. And as I listen to the album again, and then listen to it again after listening to those interviews, dude, it is not compressed, but it is distorted. And like Friedman said, that is the sound that they chose to go with.
Yeah, they wanted it to get to that point where even when it was quiet, they still wanted it. You could turn it down low, and they still wanted it to sound like your shit was gonna break, like it was.
Well, yeah, I think his quote was, "I want it to sound on the lowest possible audible level, like your shit is on fire." I believe that is the quote that was said.
And dude, who's gonna argue with that? I mean, sounds like a great idea.
You know, and the thing is, that if you listen to a lot of the stuff that Dave Friedman has done, that's kind of like his sound. And there's another band that I like that friend of the show Forrest introduced me to, at least, which is Tapes and Tapes.
Tapes and Tapes. I thought that's what you were going to say.
And Tapes and Tapes has an album called Walk It Off, which I do intend to do on this show to do a scratch on. But dude, it's done very much in the style like this, and it has that feel, and it's, I don't know, there's something about it that I really like because it's just so in your fucking face.
Well, so one thing that I'm not sure if you saw this or if you know this, but so they basically went to Tarbox Studios, which is Dave Friedman's studio. And that studio was actually, it's funny and ironically funny enough, was built when the Flaming Lips, they got their budget basically to do the Soft Bulletin.
Yeah.
And so they're like, well, we'll just like build a studio. Now, I don't know how all the finances worked out as far as that went, but essentially that's what they were doing. And like, even when they showed up, like Dave Friedman, he was still like plugging things in, and it wasn't even like complete. But so apparently OK Go was there for, in the interview that we've listened to, it says they were there for 12 weeks.
Yeah.
Now I've read though that they were actually working there in 2-week intervals.
Yes.
Opposite the Flaming Lips. Now this album came out in 2000. This album came out in 2010. And I'm wondering, just looking up, it looks like the Flaming Lips album Embryonic came out in 2009. So I have a feeling that's probably what they were working on.
Well, yeah, because look at forget when it came out. Look at the recording
January
dates.
2010.
October 2008 to June 2009 is the recording dates.
Yeah, so that would really make sense that Embryonic by Flaming Lips was being recorded at the same time as this, and they were trading on and off.
Now, I got to ask you kind of a side question. How did you get into this album?
Wow, that's a good question. How did I get into it? I think maybe either you told me. I think you might have told me about it, or somebody told me about it, and then they were like, "You need to watch the music videos because anybody." Oh
yeah, dude.
I mean, especially with a sort of a video background, anybody who you don't even have. I mean, whatever. You just watch their videos. And to be honest, and this is a weird thing, and I think they've even kind of said that they get so many views and stuff on their videos, but it didn't necessarily translate into album sales and things like that.
I can see that.
And we'll get into some of their videos and some of the statistics and whatnot, but they'll get millions and millions. Their videos are so elaborate, intricate, detailed.
They're amazing.
Like
I've never seen videos like them.
Most of them done just like one shot, one take, where they'll do it as many times as they need to get it like done right. Just if you haven't seen them, we'll talk about some of them as the songs come up. But if you have a favorite one, let us know, because a lot of people know the treadmill video from one of their previous albums.
Yeah, I think that was from Oh No.
I think, it probably was. And then this one has, Needing Getting, that was part of a Super Bowl commercial.
Oh, with the fucking car. God, that's so great. Cool. Dude, and This Too Shall Pass with the Rube Goldberg machine.
Oh.
And then White Knuckles, like the dog training video. I mean, that's what's interesting to me about them, is they're each so damn creative, but they have these completely different concepts.
Yeah, it's not the same. They're not a one-trick pony for sure.
Now, I had heard of OK Go, but it was my friend and at the time bandmate, Mr. Lee Bosman, who turned me on to this album. And I was just like, holy fook. Like, this is the kind of music I want to listen to. As soon as I heard it, I was like, this is incredible.
Dude, it's got such a wide array of sounds. That's very cool. I feel like it's such a progression from their first couple albums.
Oh, man, yeah.
It's really interesting because this is their third studio album, and now initially it was released on Capitol in the US and EMI in the UK.
Oh, yeah.
But they had, it sounds like a bad breakup. with their record company, and that was released on January 12th. But then on April 1st, the breakup happened, and then they actually released and promoted the record on their own new label that they had themselves. I think there was a few things that I've read that kind of went into it. Part of it was there was with, I think, one of the music videos, they were having some issues, and they also felt that they, I think, weren't kind of getting the promotion that they wanted or they expected from the record company. And so there's, I forget the documentary, but you know the band 30 Seconds to Mars. That's like, isn't that Jared Leto's band? Yeah, I know you're a huge fan. We'll be scratching one of their albums.
Oh, dude, God, I remember starting to watch that documentary. It was just
well, whether you like their music or not, which obviously you don't.
Correct.
The documentary basically follows them through their battle with the record company of trying to get the rights to their music and everything. And they interview Damien from OK Go, and he says in the interview that, because I think it probably was Capital EMI who maybe 30 Seconds to Mars was. He basically said, "Look, we got out of their contract. I'm not allowed to talk." Basically, part of the part of the
it's like a gagging order,
and you got an NDA, and you're not allowed to talk about the
terms
deal,
and conditions,
what happened, all that stuff. So
I will say I did watch that documentary, and despite thinking that their music is absolute shit, dude, I did think that they did a good thing with that documentary, if for little else, trying to shed light on what fucking bullshit goes on in that industry. And they did a good job of it, because I remember watching that and being like, dude, I don't like this band,
a lot of fun,
but like I'm on this band's side.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I think it was like they immediately, you sign your record contract, but you basically go into debt, and they just kind of cover your initial, I think, like your studio fees and recording fees and all this stuff that you have to pay back, it sounds like. And it's just like nearly impossible to get. It's like a credit card company. Once all the interest compound, can't get out of that hole. So anyways,
total
I'd be very
bullshit.
curious if anyone out there has insight or more insight. I should have read a little more. I'm sure I can find it out there. There's articles out there. But if you guys have any insight to kind of the battle that OK Go had to go through and ultimately what the settlement was, it'd be great to know that. Because it's, I mean, those bands, when you sign up, you think you're signing a record contract and, hey, I've made it.
Good.
That's not kind of how it works. So,
it's really too bad, because the industry has always been predatory, but now in the days where like records aren't what records used to be, I feel like it's increasingly predatory.
It's a weird place. It's a really weird place now.
And you and I had a conversation offline the other day about what athletes get paid, right?
Right.
And I think you specifically brought up LeBron James. And I thought this to be a really interesting concept, because your point was, listen, he might make all this money and you might think it's not me, but you, whoever you're arguing with in this situation, you people might think it's bullshit. But if he doesn't make it, someone's going to make it who has no skin in this game. They don't play the sport. They don't do anything. They just,
Yeah. I mean, if he wears his Nike shoes, Nike will make money off of that if he doesn't have a contract, and that's the brand he chooses to wear.
Yeah.
You're going to have all these kids out there being like, oh, I want to buy these shoes that LeBron wears. Well, now he has a contract with them. He gets paid millions of dollars, and, he wears the shoes and he gets paid for it. So it's like, hey, man, everybody's getting their cut. We live in this capitalistic society.
But that was one thing that you told me that I guess I hadn't thought about in that way before. That was kind of eye-opening, where it's like, you know what? If he's going to be responsible for the sale of all these shoes, well, fuck, he should at least get his cut.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't disagree with that. Yeah. And I feel the same way with musicians. I mean,
and that's not to say, though, here's the thing, though. That's not to say that the tickets still aren't overpriced and the shoes aren't overpriced and anything like that. that's not necessarily his fault. He's not the one setting those prices. It's
correct.
The man.
And that's why I enjoy these conversations, because I feel like we can have them in a productive way where you can see, and just like we're talking about with the record companies, like you can see the other flaws, and it's not the artist that says the tickets to their show needs to be $100. You know,
I mean, go back in the day
fucking
to like
Ticketmaster, Pearl Jam and Ticketmaster,
yeah, they have a monopoly on it. And now I guess I don't know what it is.
Well, dude, I honestly don't think that it's any better today. No, because anytime I bought tickets to a concert, it's not like I have a choice to go here or here, you know?
Yeah, not really. It's like you want to see that band, you're going to go through this vendor and you're going to pay that much money. And yeah, it's either you pay that or you don't go see them. And I'm kind of like, well, depends how bad I want to see them. But yeah, I'll go.
That's true.
This is our concern, dude.
Yeah, right, this is our
back concern. To OK Go.
Yeah.
But so, dude, this album, again, very different for them. And in the interviews, and it does have that, they equate it, and it's definitely been said by many people, it has that Prince feel to it.
Yes.
It has that dance, funk Prince sort of, there's this, when you hear it, you're just like, wow, I hear that.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool. And even I think when they were writing the album, or Damien was starting to write for the album, he was like, we'd been on tour for 3 or 4 years. We haven't really written anything. So I started to, start coming up with stuff. And he was like, I felt like I was almost ripping myself off. He was like, I was trying to sound like
OK Go. Yeah.
And he was like,
I thought that was interesting in that interview. And you're like, damn, dude, that's a weird spot to come to. Like, then where do you go?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so the thing where it kind of gets that, I guess you could say the dancier, Prince thing is Tim, who also was interviewing it. He said a lot of the tracks, the way they did them, though, were built from, he said, the rhythm up. So like the bass line and the drum beat, what was done first. Whereas I imagine everything else, the way they used to do is, I'm sure,
guitar driven stuff.
Guitar, yeah. And a lot of that really made it to the album. It's not like it was just done bass and drum beat first, and then, of course they do lay guitars over it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But the bass and the rhythm is, there's so many songs
absolutely
that the guitar
all of it
is not the predominant instrument in the album.
Yeah, and I like that because you're right. The guitar becomes more like a percussive add-on in a lot of things. Yep. And I think it's neat because I think it was Damien in those interviews who said that he had been influenced by a lot of like Prince music
growing up, right? Yeah.
And he always wanted to make an album like this, but it was like he didn't feel like he could.
Yeah.
Like
he was white.
Yeah, like he was a poser. And
he is white. I mean, look at him. Yeah.
Yeah, like he was a poser if he tried to do this. But that was one thing that I thought was so cool is when they did this, they said, you know what? I'm not going to worry about these preconceived notions. We're going to go in and make something different. And dude, they did. And it was awesome.
Yeah. Again, by far my favorite album of theirs. And I have
no question.
I've listened to what the one after this, I believe, was Hungry Ghosts. And
yeah,
I think it was about,
and I've listened to the ones before this too. And they don't do it for me like this one.
Yeah. This one, it's just so well rounded, and it has, again, and it should be noted too that, Damien was going through like a divorce at this time. And he said that basically a lot of during the writing process of this was when things were not good with his wife, and he was kind of waiting for her to decide like,
what you can hear that in the lyrics. I mean, geez.
Yeah. And yeah, it's very apparent. But I think that's where a little bit of it has energy. It has dance, kind of upbeat feel. But then it has sort of moments of solitude and moments of just quiet, just these introspective moments where it's deeper, it's more thoughtful. And I think that's where the gold kind of comes out for them. And I like how there's, you know how, and we joke about this in that Dark Side of the Moon documentary about the making of it. And Roger Waters says, "Oh, leave a hole," right? And
oh yeah,
there's places in this album where they're not filling every empty space with just some crazy guitar and energy and stuff. They're like, no, okay, we'll just, we're going to let this lie. And I think it's good to do that from time to time. And I think they do it really well in this album.
No, they do. And that is a really, again, not to in any way put myself like with these musicians, but as someone who's like made music and recorded music for a good part of my life, one of the hardest things to do is to honestly just know when to shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And I had this music teacher in college, Dr. Copenhaver, who I think was just a great teacher. And he said, sometimes the most important note you can ever play is a rest.
Yeah.
And that I've always thought about that.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's good. Well, Graham, I'm about ready to get into the tracks. If you are, how you feeling there? You ready to kind of move on into it?
Yeah. Give me 1 sec here.
Oh, okay, dude.
I want to pull something out that we've pulled out before.
Wow, this could be graphic.
But one thing I was going to say is, although most of the lyrical content of the album deals with what I would like Damien's kind of failed marriage, ultimately resulting in divorce, right?
Yeah.
I think that they do it in a way where, to me, it's not like when you're listening to the album, you're not just like, okay, dude, I get it.
Yeah. You're not, yeah.
Right? Because if you listen to the first song, and so this is why I said this, because this is my segue into the first song, WTF, which they do say what the fuck in that song.
Yeah. They do.
If you listen to that song isolated and you didn't know the context of it or the rest of the album, to me, that could almost be like if you met somebody, you're right, and they had this serious effect on you, and you were like, what the fuck is happening? Like this, you know what I mean? Like, it's interesting to me. This is the only one that you could do that with, but it can almost come off in a different way because of how the lyrics come out.
Sure. I mean, the first couple of lines is, what the fuck is happening? I've been trying to make some sense out of
what you do to my head.
With my head. Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, this is, and it's funny. I think this is one of those albums that came into my life at the right time, where we've all been in positions, whether you're man, woman, whatever,
or child,
where you've been in a stressful relationship, or there's been some strains on it, and a lot of the things in this album sort of spoke to me, and there's some songs that really kind of stand out later.
Well, yeah, and I was saying in this one, even like a new relationship where you're just like, holy shit, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, and I think there's another song too, like even like I Want You So Bad I Can't Breathe.
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah, sure.
It's like
you could take that into a different context, and all of a sudden it doesn't sound like a guy who's about to like split up his.
Yeah.
So for whatever that's worth.
Yeah.
Because when I first heard this album, I had no idea of the background, so I wasn't necessarily thinking about it in that context.
It wasn't until I got the extra nice edition, which I would highly recommend people get, because it's the full album, and then it has a bunch of demos and alternate versions. And it's got a cover by the Pixies, gigantic, a Zombies cover. What is it? It's got a whole bunch, and then it's got cool demos, but at the end it has this really great interview, probably 10-15 minutes with the band, and then this guy Ira Glass, and then Dave Friedman's also in on it, and just really good insight into some of the songs, the recording process, if you're into that sort of thing. So highly recommend checking that
now
out.
Do you have this one on vinyl? Dude, I've almost bought this on vinyl, I'm gonna say 2 or 3 times.
They've seen it, they have it at your store?
I have seen it. Now
I looked the other day and they don't have it.
Here's what I wrestle with.
Okay.
The total length of the album is 51:14.
Okay.
Don't know that that's going to make it on a single vinyl. But if you split that up, those are some short ass sides. Unless you do like a 3-sided deal and then you have the fourth one blank, which I get. I mean, Queens of the Stone Age Villains is like that. But,
is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was looking at it today on Discogs and I saw like $30 I think it was sort of $40 to $50 version. So I wasn't able, they don't have it at my store, at least the one that I kind of typically go to. I should check out the other one to see if they have it, but
yeah, I'll have to look next time.
I would like to get it. I would.
I would too. This is one I would want.
Yeah, it's real good. It's real good. So well, back to WTF, man.
Yeah. Now, one thing I was going to say, and I'm just going to bring this up in this song, although it comes across in all the other songs. So when you listen to the guitar solos in this song, but I think a couple others, but this one more distinctly than ever, the solos have this weird sound. And we talked about this on St. Vincent's album, Vincent's self-titled album. And I held up this pedal. And this pedal is the Moog Freak Box. Now, Moog discontinued this pedal. I think you're freaky. But, so this pedal is worth more than any vinyl you have in your collection. I'll tell you that. But one thing that's cool about that pedal is, like I said before, it runs your guitar or whatever you put into it through an analog oscillator, but it follows the pitch. So it basically makes your guitar kind of like a synthesizer, which is what you hear, in those solos. You can hear the attack, and you can hear the way you would play a guitar, but it doesn't sound like a guitar. It sounds more like a synth.
Yeah, definitely. I'm with you there, man. I'm with you.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I would say, again, they're known for their music videos. This song does have a music video, and it is pretty trippy. It's not one of my favorite ones of theirs, but it is cool. And I did watch a little behind the scenes thing. So if you are a fan of their videos, you can go to their YouTube channel and they have the video. But they also have some behind the scenes things for these videos. Now, I didn't have time to watch all of them, but there's some good information there if you're really into it. But this video, you know how it kind of had the sort of the tracer, like does, and everything. Dude, you want to know what reminded me of? Remember in college when Windows operating system just like really sucked, and like you'd have a window and a little prompts would pop up, and you'd like drag it, and like 10 would just kind of like mirror it, and you're just like awesome, or like freeze into the screen. That's exactly what I thought of when I saw this video.
Yeah, but now the next song. And video.
2 videos for this song.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with the one when I make this comment. That's fine.
Yeah.
Quite honestly, one of the most amazing videos. And dude, I didn't think anyone could do a better video than Michel Gondry, but like, dude, whoever did some of their videos, holy shit. Like this one's amazing. And I like the song too. I really like the song. It's a great sentiment. I think it's like, in a way, it's somber but like uplifting at the same time because you're gonna get through it.
Yeah, absolutely will. And it's cool because when they play the song live, they'll stop playing and then they have the crowd sing that whole part and everything.
And they use that toy piano in there, and dude. But the video, that Rube Goldberg machine, holy shit. When I saw that the first time, of course I thought of you. But I'm like, okay, number one, I don't know how the fuck they made that machine and it actually worked. And then number 2, to film.
Well, so dude, this is here's a little background on it. So they had this idea for the video. They sent out some posts on some like science message boards, I guess. And they ended up working with a group of, I think 50, they said 55 to 60 people, from SIN Labs, the California Institute of Technology, and MIT Media Lab to help kind of construct the machine. This whole project from beginning to end took 6 months.
Holy shit.
That comes also from just idea.
Ideation to fruition.
You know,
sure.
But it took a couple months to just build like the kind of the set, right?
Yeah.
And get all that stuff together. Dude,
well, just to plan the damn thing out.
Yeah, right. Well, and if people haven't seen it, you got to see it. But it really reminds me of that game Mousetrap, like when you're a kid, right? Like it hits.
Yeah, except it works.
Goes down.
Mousetrap always fucked up.
But there's also like the movie Goonies too, where there's like these booby traps, and like it sets something off, and then that swings over and it hits this.
You got to play the right notes on the stick organ.
Yeah, the knife comes down and like chops the rope, and then the weight comes down, and then something happens. Right? It's wild. So that's kind of what it's like. But here's the deal. So at the end of it, it costs like $90,000 to do this whole thing.
That's
it.
Took
6 months. Yeah, it was really not bad. Well, here's the thing. All the materials in it are cheap materials. Now, it took people's time. I'm sure a lot of people at these institutes probably worked for free or worked for cheap, or it was like a class or something, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it took them 2 days to film it, and they estimate it took them 60 takes to get it. And so many of the takes, though, like it just ended after the first like 30 seconds because it was like, oh, something just didn't go right. But then, dude, it's like that happens. Well, you got to set up that first part of the thing like all over again. So they have to reset. Tons of retakes and everything. Now it's done as one shot, but there are actually apparently 2 cuts in it. Now they only did the cut where there's camera goes through a set of curtains to go downstairs because apparently either a cameraman or one of the band members is kind of seen in it. And so they just made like a quick cut and everything. But I don't think it's not like, but it wasn't like multiple takes. It was like they just made a quick cut. And then there's also where the camera, I guess, passes by some rods. They maybe made a cut too. But you got to check it out. There are times I think they said where they had to get sort of always get in sync. They did have to slowly speed up or slowly slow down some sections, but dude, it crushed it, dude.
Oh yeah.
In the first 6 days, just like the Dude and Grim show, this is what we're striving for. In the first 6 days it was out on YouTube, it had 6 million views and had 10 million in the first month. Yep. So roll that up and smoke it.
Dude, wow, I'd be baked for 6 months. Holy cow.
That just leads me to say, Grim, all is not lost, which is the next track.
Yeah, and dude, now this was a video that I didn't know about. So before we go to the video, I like the song. I like the mixture of acoustic. I like how they bring in the acoustic in this, and it's got like this thickness, but you still have like the acoustic. And then the bass, of course, is really driving in the electric on top of it. But the video, I think you brought up, and I didn't know about this video, but I thought it was really interesting because it's all the symmetry with these cuts of shots, and they're in these weird suits. And I mean,
it is. It's a different video than the one we just talked about, but it's very unique. It's very cool,
dude. I honestly don't think there has been a band that has been more creative with their music videos ever. I mean, and even if you go back to the albums that we're not as big of fans of, because I think there was something off Oh No, and I can't remember the name of the song. But it's, dude, everyone knows it as like the treadmill video where they're on the treadmills. It like really incredible. And I thought the same thing with this video too, because at some point they had all these screens like spliced together, which reminded me of Wayne's World and You Tell Two Friends and They Tell Two Friends and they.
Well, dude,
but it said like spread love, and then but it was the human bodies making these shapes, and then they said it in like 5 or 6 languages, and
dude, yeah. Well, that video is cool, and I don't know if you probably haven't seen one from, I believe it's from Hungry Ghost, where they go up in one of those airplanes that goes up like just into space. And so they're anti-gravity and everything.
They're weightless,
like floating around and doing, dude, that's pretty cool too. So I'd check that one out.
I will.
Yeah. But so it's interesting. So what I noticed though in this music video, the guitar solo is actually different than the one that's on the album. If you listen to the song that's in the music video, it's slightly
dude.
different.
I didn't notice that when I watched it.
Yeah, it is.
Interesting.
I forget. Yeah, what did I say? Did I put it in my notes? How it sounded?
What notes? No, I'm kidding.
My notes. I don't even know. But I do like the album version better, is what I put in my notes. But
okay.
So needing getting. This is
one of my favorite songs on the album.
One of my favorite songs on the album. We can talk about the video in a minute because that's amazing. But dude, the song itself, I just love. I mean, dude, that guitar intro, just you know.
Yes, and I was gonna play something like that, and it really doesn't matter. But it kind of it reminds me of some of the stuff like Harrison used to play because it's like these thirds.
Okay.
Right, these thirds in that intro. But one thing I liked about it is, again, and you already brought this up about the way that they decided to construct the album, like more based in the rhythm section, because those thirds are nice. But dude, once the drums and that fuzz bass come in,
so
dude,
big.
the bass is the melody.
Yep.
And man,
dude, the rhythm is the bass and the bass is the treble.
Yeah. Yeah. And dude, the video for this one in no way follows the actual song, but it's one of the most amazing video concepts I've ever seen in my life. I mean, the guy's playing the freaking ukulele in the car, and they're driving over these things that, based on the speed that they're at, are making these. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah,
and they tip over pianos and all this shit.
Yeah. So people who don't know, basically they had this deal, and this was part of kind of the Super Bowl ad for, I believe, Super Bowl 46, and the drive. They're like kind of out on this course, this track, and they're in a Chevy Sonic, I believe. And basically what they're doing is they have these almost like wings or flaps or like hands and stuff on the side of the car, and they have different things on top of the car, and then along this track, they have pianos, they have guitars, they have like little glass, like milk bottles and things, and they have it spaced out the right way, where if he drives, all the band members are in that. If they drive at the right speed, the tone will be right. In the tone will be right, and they're able to actually construct the song. Now, it's not the song that you hear on the album, but it doesn't have all those things and all those parts.
Yeah, it's a different version, but the parts are there, but in different ways.
Yeah, and I remember seeing that while he's driving, dude. It's great.
Yeah, and then they'll like stop and do something, and then start driving again. I remember seeing this video, and I'm like, dude, shit, like you win life.
I quit.
Like I don't. Yeah, I don't even know how anyone conceptualized this to begin with. And then to fucking pull it off.
Right. Well, one thing they don't go into really in the video is it has the song on the album has this really nice transition into like this chill sequence.
Yeah,
and it's
like
very,
that at the end.
This is a very introspective moment. And I really like how spacey they get. But this is one of those songs that you could just point right to what he's going through with his wife, the divorce.
Oh, yeah.
Waiting for months, waiting for years, waiting for you to change. There ain't much that's dumber. Very much that's dumber
than pin your hopes on
change another. And most of us have been there. Many times,
the lyrics to this are just phenomenal.
They're really good. And then I love during the chill section, because the words that they repeat is like, you know,
why not love? Why not?
When? Why not now? Why not me?
Yeah.
You know, it's just like you're into someone so much. It's just like kind of not being reciprocated, or they're not making the change that you need them to make. It's just such a very heartfelt song in a very non-sappy way. That's what I like about it.
Sure. You know, that's a great way to say it, dude.
All right. So we go to Skyscrapers, man. And this one, again, a very different song for them, because it's really kind of stripped down. It starts with the bass line.
Yeah.
And it's got a little synth in the background. And then even when the guitar comes in, it's not like they're it. You know, it's not that. It has a very, you know, spacey feeling to it, man. I just love that they kind of go with it.
Yeah, and to me, the lyrics kind of go with the theme that's kind of been put in place. But It's interesting because he's like speaking to these skyscrapers, like, skyscrapers, please forgive me. I'm a penitent man. You know, I don't know, but I like it because I think it's a good change up for the album. And it's slower, it's more chill, but like the elements are still there, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, the way I looked at it is, you know, I think the skyscrapers are supposed to be symbolic as a person.
Well, that's, yeah,
as, you know, right, is a love, right? And it's just like, you know, how could I have not seen it? And then at the end, he gets pretty intense when he's like, who screams like, I was blind, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
Like, I was true.
Blind. You know, he just goes, man. And so it's, yeah, I thought it was, I like that, man. It's a good
There was
song.
one of them, maybe it was Skyscrapers, but there's one of them where they put in this, like, everything is normal, but they put in this one reverse drum fill of like 4 reverse snare hits. I couldn't remember which song it was, and I didn't do a good enough job with my notes. Maybe it was Skyscrapers, but
Yeah.
I always like that.
Yeah.
But dude, White Knuckles.
Yeah.
Now it's interesting because it took them a while, I guess, according to the interviews, and then you can hear some of the demos too. Where like it took them a while to settle on the chord progression that they eventually settled on. Which I'm glad they settled on the one they did, because I think it's awesome.
I heard the other ones and I was like,
I felt the same way.
The other ones I heard almost sounded a little too much like old OK Go when I listened to it.
Yeah.
And I was like, this one has a little, it's got the vibe. It's got it's got the kick.
And I like that synth that they use throughout it that sounds like something turning on, where it's like, you know, and it's kind of slow, and it's not even necessarily melodic, but it's just this sound.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the music video is totally unique because I love it. It's like this, it's like cups and fucking dog training. Like, it's something that makes no sense, but again, it's so cool at the same time.
Dude, so they did 124 takes of that video. They got 30 of them that were complete. I shall also say that Damien's sister's the one who directed the video.
Wow, she did an awesome job.
They did 30 of them where they were able to like get to the end, right? Because God, that must have been just like impossible with the dogs. And then there were 10 of those that they considered like acceptable, like, okay, we could do them. And then they chose the 70-second take.
Wow, that is interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it's a wild video if you watch. It is.
It is really wild, but it's so cool. And I love the way the song is, because again, it just like you said, everything is built from the rhythm up, and I like how they just use these kind of sparse synthesizers, and dude, that to me, that song really has that Prince feel.
Prince,
like,
dude, the funk that
really,
yeah. Oh man, it's just not. It's so good. Then we go on to "I Want You So Bad, I Can't Breathe."
Yeah.
And so this is a song I really like. It has a cool feeling to it. It kind of sort of a standard structure. This is one of the songs that they actually, on the Extra Nice edition, that they have a demo of. And believe it or not, it's a very stripped down demo. I think it's just kind of acoustic and drums, and I forget if there's a little bit of electric, and then he sings. But I actually kind of like the demo. There's a part of it that I like it better, where in the demo he sings the words many times. He repeats them, and if you're down, I'll be around. And that to me goes to like, I want you so bad I can't breathe. I think some people, you know, not me by any means, but have been in that position where it's kind of like, you know, as soon as that person you're into is like, oh, hey, you want to get together? You're like, oh yeah, I'll do it.
I see.
Let me just drop everything. And you drop everything because you're like so into them. That's just, and I kind of wish they would have kept, you know, and if you're down, I'll be around. I just kind of wish they would have kept those words in this version. But I still like the song. I think it's a really good song.
Now, one thing that I like from a production standpoint is how they use those kind of like bells in the background. Dude. And it's funny because that's something that Friedman has at Tarbox Road Studios because, dude, Flaming Lips have also used those bells a la Do You Realize? Those same...
Yes, sure.
Yeah, those same kind of chimes.
So, dude...
Just a weird little thing.
So like those bells, have you ever been like in high school, you know, the people who played like the big bells, right?
Yeah.
And they put the gloves on everything. Dude, have you been to one of their live shows? Because I've seen them live like 3 times.
No.
And they have a section, they would have a section in the middle of the show where I forget what songs.
Who, the Lips or OK Go?
OK Go.
Oh,
and
damn. No,
they have a table where they get out, and I forget what song it is. I think it's a song off this. I don't know if it's I think it's I Can Breathe. I Want You So Bad. Where they'll play a bell song, and they play the bells and everything, just like in the middle of the show, dude. It's pretty cool.
That's cool.
It
wow.
is.
So, And Love.
Track number 8, End Love.
Now, one thing I think about End Love is I feel like in this one specifically, more than the other one, the other ones, I feel like the drums are either sampled. They're sampled.
Yeah.
You know, that's the feeling I get. It's maybe they use samples of someone actually playing the drums with that. Just with the hi-hat, it has that sampled feeling. But it's cool because it kind of goes with the Prince thing. Because I mean, dude, he used, I mean, especially I think in like a lot of his '80s stuff when he was doing what I think they're going after. I mean, a lot of that shit was done with the Lynn drum machine more than even a real drummer.
Sure, I could see that. Well, so this video is pretty cool too. It's like this. Like if you watch it, it's this long time.
That's the one where they're in the park.
Video, yeah, they're in the park, and it looks like Los Angeles.
I was thinking San Diego, but
whatever.
But they go through like, and it goes from day to night to day again, and then they get the crowd at the end.
Yeah. So essentially, what it is from beginning to end, dude. They did that 18 hours. It was like an 18-hour time lapse where they were in it. And then you see the camera kind of go up, and then it turns, and then it goes for like a couple of days. And so total in footage, it was like 200 hours. Now,
oh my God.
I would be very curious, like, how did they power the camera for that? Like, did they actually, like, were they swapping out batteries or whatever camera they were using? I wonder if it uses like 2 batteries, so like one runs out and then you can put another one on.
Yeah, I don't know, but man, that's a good question.
Yeah, so if you know,
or if there was just a little bit of a break, maybe it didn't matter because I mean, some of those time lapse shots, you can be like, let me stop it for a second and start it back up, I guess. But we'll miss 5 seconds. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, dude, they had to go to the bathroom at some point, right?
Yeah, true. Probably some of them were number 2.
Yeah, probably. Can only hope. So the next song, Before the Earth Was Round, this is one of the trippiest songs on the album.
Yeah,
it is one of my favorites too. I really like the words. They put this robotic. He's got a robotic sort of effect on his voice.
I think he's using a vocoder.
Is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah, because it's not. Oh, what is that bullshit?
Auto-tune?
It's not auto-tune. A vocoder.
I thought it might be.
Yeah, no. Auto-tune would be if he was trying to sing all these notes that he couldn't sing. But he could sing them. So, like, they don't need auto-tune. But a vocoder, I know we've talked about it before, I think in Animals. It's basically a machine that, like, takes your voice and takes an input signal from whatever you're using. And many people use a synthesizer to get that effect. Mm-hmm. But it basically blends the two things together as you see fit. And it kind of makes that hybrid weird thing that you hear on this song. Yeah. And initially, that was one thing about it that I wasn't really crazy about. But as I listened to it again, dude, one thing that you've always said that it really stuck with me, dude. This is a really good mid-trip song.
It's a very good mid-trip song. Oh,
very good.
Very good. Not that we know anything about that, but it would be good. It's going to be good.
It's going to be good.
Dude, for me, the words that have always resonated, though, I think the words of the song are great, but
yeah, they are.
War became a job and love became a mystery. And the heart and the head were rent into two. Fear and doubt began. God threw up his hands and the sky didn't know what to do. It's just like, dude, everything is just in chaos, man.
I know.
It's like, what is
the
going
lyrics?
on?
The lyrics are very good.
Yeah. And I've always loved this song. And it's, again, very stripped down. It's that bass line really kind of carries the song through. Yeah. Right.
Now, admittedly, dude, I know that this was one that you were always a fan of, but dude, I didn't like this song as much until listening to it more through these go-arounds to prepare for the show. Cause I've listened to it a multitude of times before that, but I don't think I appreciated it in quite the same way until this.
Sometimes it takes time. I have faults too. Not many, but I do. Track 10, Last Leaf. Now, this is an interesting song, and I like how they talk about the attempts at recording it, right?
Yeah, where he went into like Death Valley or...
Yeah. He was in Death Valley. It was, what's the name of it? Death Valley. There's a certain spot though, a specific canyon, Desolation Canyon. So initially, it was like right. Dave Friedman gave him a recorder and was like, "Hey, go over to the university and find some interesting space to record this in." And they did, and it just didn't work. And then he's like, "I'm going to go on top of a mountain, and it's going to be this epic story about how awesome it is." And then that didn't really work because it was windy, and he was like. It sounded like I was scared. He was like, and actually I was scared because I'm like in the middle of I'm on top of this mountain.
It's getting dark. In the middle of the desert.
Yeah. So that sucks.
But then they recorded it outside the studio, which I think, dude, I love the idea of recording outside. I've done one song outside and I really love it because there's like a space that you can't reproduce, whether it's in a room or with like fake reverb or anything. Like, there's something about that. And I think they really did a good job of capturing it.
And I like it when bands do it. I think Radiohead did that on In Rainbows, that song like Faust Arp or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Wakey, wakey, rise and shine. Off again. Yeah. I think that song was done outside because I know they also did, they've done the like From the Basement videos. But there was one that came out before that where they were in another studio and then they actually went outside and recorded. Whenever they showed the performance for this one, it's just like he's outside just, playing the song. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty tight. So I dig it.
Yeah, that's
all
cool.
Right. Let's get
back from Kathmandu. I love how this is like acoustic but the drums and it's like
sounds so big. They're so big.
It sounds so big and it's got that distorted and all this feel, but it's acoustic.
Mm-hmm.
I love
good.
I was just gonna say the lyrics, like in the dream it was just like it is.
It is.
That's cool.
This goes along with the lyrics, the vocals, the way they're sung. It's almost like they're sung in a round. Like there's a delay that is much longer. It wouldn't be perfect if it was a round, but it's beautiful. It's close. The line that I was like, dude, you are the answer to the question that is me. I was like that.
Yeah, that is a good line.
Yep. Song number 12, While You Were Asleep. Dude, this one this is a different song, man. It starts off.
Well, it was written by one of the other guys.
Oh, was it? Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't look at that part.
Ross.
Andy. Oh, Andy. I believe he took over. I believe this is his first album because Andy was. Let's see.
Oh, he was the replacement for the
Duncan.
other good.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So Andy Ross replaced Andy Duncan. So I mean that was an easy trade, right? I mean just
fucking last name.
Yeah, you're good. It starts off and it has this deep, dark kind of sound to it. But then it transitions and it gets kind of light and airy and Damien's singing it all nice and sweet and everything. And I feel like it has a similar theme in a way to Needing Getting, but it sounds different it sounds different. So the words like,
can't you love me?
Yeah. How I want, please. It's just kind of like hoping that they're going to come around. Like eventually it's going to happen.
Yeah. That's a great point. Yeah.
And so it kind of carries on like that. But then at the end, it gets sort of really big and kind of dark and cloudy again. So it's an interesting song. It's different. But I think it fits because it being maybe written by another one of the members, it's not going to have that standard, OK Go sound. Maybe.
Sure.
Then In the Glass, man, this one is an intense one.
I love how it changes.
Ooh,
because you think it's going one way and then they get to the end and it's like that. My God, what have I done?
Oh, dude. Yeah, dude, the piano starts, it's kind of creepy, and then there's with the drums, and then the organ comes in. I mean, this song is like, dude, if you ever needed a song about regret, like this is it, right?
I know. And I think it's an interesting end to the album. I really do.
Yeah.
Like it's definitely not my scratch, so. But
Not
with that
all,
said, I think I was the last one on the tee, so I think this time you are on the tee, my friend.
All right. I have a feeling we might go into overtime here.
Oh, son of a biscuit.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I love me a good acoustic song. I really do.
Yep. Here we go.
But Last Leaf, it just doesn't do it for me. It first of all, it slows down the album, which, hey, a solo acoustic song is going to do that. But I don't really like the tempo of the song. I don't like
Understand.
I think the words are fine, but I feel like it kind of stops the album dead in its tracks with an album that, even though it has its sort of spacier introspective moments,
is going to set your shit on fire at the lowest audible audio levels.
Exactly. It still goes. And let me tell you, man, I love going from Before the Earth Was Round right into Back from
Dude,
Kathmandu,
I
man.
know.
So
damn, and that's why I'm just going to be like,
I skip it every time. I will say when they play the song live, it's pretty cool because Damien goes out, he takes his acoustic, he takes a microphone, he goes out to the middle of the audience.
Oh, that's cool.
And he plays it.
Cool.
So it is a very cool song to see live. But for this album, I'm good. I don't need it. So
yeah.
If you have any thoughts to add on, my friend, or if you just want to go to your second scratch.
No, but I'm still going to say because we're going to overtime because that's what I would have scratched as well. Because I feel like it really kind of disrupts the flow of the album. So, and I don't need to say anything more than you've already said, but I would like to see that live. That sounds quite interesting. So, with that said, do I go first on what the second one will be? Yeah, now, for a long time, I would have said Before the Earth Was Round.
But you came to your senses.
I did.
Yes,
I did, dude. You were waiting for months and waiting for years for me to change, and I finally did. And so
somebody did. Jesus.
Yeah, I would scratch While You Were Asleep if it was a second one. Oh my God.
Triple overtime. Or double overtime, triple overtime. Yeah. So that's one for me too. Again, sorry, Andy Ross.
No disrespect intended.
Here.
I mean,
again, this for me, a lot of times when I listen to this album, I go from Before the Earth Was Round into back from Kathmandu, right into In the Glass.
Yeah, and could easily do it. I wouldn't do it with a record because it's too much of a pain in the ass. But
I'm not going to get up and
in the digital age, I would do that shit. So.
Exactly. All right. Well, hey guys, we know you're listening. We know you're watching. let us know what track you guys would scratch. And don't be that guy or that gal who says, oh, it's a masterpiece and I wouldn't scratch anything, because that's not how the game is played.
We know it's a masterpiece.
That's why we're talking about it.
Yeah, exactly.
So, again, one of our favorite albums. Let us know what you guys would scratch. We'll have... let us know if there's another OK Go album that you guys think we should maybe give a second listen to. I like their earlier stuff. Hungry Ghost, it didn't blow me away.
Yeah, same.
But if there's one you guys think we should give another listen to, let us know. We'd be happy to check that out, and maybe we'll add it to the list for next year.
Yeah. So with that, I think it's time to go.
On the Dude Grimm Show.
Scratch a Track is produced by the Dude and Grimm. Additional music provided by Moore and the Tims. Copyright 2021, The Dude and Grimm Show.